بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.
وعليكم السلام.
The National Zakat Foundation is a familiar organization to most of you here. But I think it's always worth reminding ourselves of the key importance of this organization, of being now the only charity across the country that seeks to provide an end-to-end zakah service to all the Muslims here in our community, to both zakah payers and zakah recipients. And as we come closer to the month of Ramadan, the month of fasting, when most of us fulfill the pillar of zakah and start to think about the pillar of zakah, it's really important that we think about zakah in the context of our community here. And so I just want to remind all of us here, remind all of you about what it is exactly that the National Zakat Foundation does. First and foremost, it's about services for zakah payers, education, calculation and collection. We see the zakah payer, most of you here, as somebody that we exist to serve. Any need that you have with respect to zakah, in its understanding, in calculating it accurately, or in its payment, the National Zakat Foundation exists to be here to serve your needs. And our aim is very simple, which is for every pound of zakah that should be paid, to be paid. Every year there is a set figure that perhaps only Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows of the exact amount of zakah that should be given each year. But whatever that figure is, in theory, in practice, the actual figure given is much lower. So many people have misunderstandings, miscalculation, out of ignorance or out of miserliness or greed. They are not giving their zakah. And the aim of the National Zakat Foundation, through providing these services to help our community understand this pillar, is for every single Muslim who should be paying zakah to pay zakah and to pay accurately. And the blessings of this will be significant for all of us as a community, because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in His holy book, in the Holy Quran, وَرَحْمَتِي وَسِعَتْ كُلَّ شَيْءٍ فَسَأَكْتُبُهَا لِلَّذِينَ يَتَّقُونَ وَيُؤْتُونَ الزَّكَاةَ. He says, my mercy encompasses everything, but I prescribe it specifically for those who have God consciousness and those who give zakah. And there is a big connection, as many of the scholars point out, between the giving of zakah in a community and the descent of the mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala upon that community as a whole. So if we want our fortunes to be blessed, we need to all pay and give zakah accurately and properly. And that's why one of our initiatives, which we've started this year, and we're in the middle of the week at the moment, which is Zakat Awareness Week. The Zakat Awareness Week is all about helping zakah payers around the country familiarize themselves with the key principles of zakah to make sure that they get the calculation accurate. So we have a number of events, seminars, workshops, online on our website. We've launched a number of new materials, videos, an updated version of the zakat calculator, etc., to help all of you and all of those people who can benefit to remind themselves of the key principles of zakah and to fulfill them appropriately. We had planned actually to have a zakah workshop here today at the Twins of Faith conference. Unfortunately, due to the overall delay in the start of the conference and some of the logistical issues, we're not going to be holding a workshop specifically, but the National Zakat Foundation stall is available both here in this hall and just outside in the registration area. And throughout the lunch break, we will be there to take any questions that you have. So do come to the stall, pick up a copy of a zakah guide, a new zakah guide that we've produced. And some of you may have seen a newspaper production that we've also produced for this Ramadan. The middle 2 pages there are all about your zakat calculation. If you have any issues or any questions around property, around pensions, around shares, around cash, gold, silver, how to calculate zakat, what you can deduct, what you can't deduct, etc., then don't be shy. Please come forward, please ask, and allow us to help you understand and get your zakat accurate and make sure that you calculate it properly for this Ramadan, whenever you pay your zakat next. So now we're going to talk about a much more familiar, perhaps, aspect of National Zakat Foundation to all of you, which is our services for zakah recipients. And the National Zakat Foundation, one of its key aims is to make sure that every single eligible zakah recipient in this country, for their rights to be fulfilled. And when I say for their rights to be fulfilled, that should be very, very familiar language to us, because the zakah is the right of the poor, is it not? And the poor, the person who is eligible to receive zakah, is not somebody whose criteria I define or you define. And the question is simply this. Before you get into any confusion in your mind about comparing the poverty of somebody here with the poverty of somebody abroad, know this, that every single eligible zakah recipient, their rights need to be fulfilled wherever they are. Whatever aspect or whatever degree of poverty you attribute to them. Their rights are there to be fulfilled. And who is supposed to fulfill their rights? The zakah payers in the community in which those zakah recipients live. And so the question becomes, who is responsible for the thousands of eligible zakah recipients in London, in Birmingham, in Manchester, across the country? The answer is you and me. And that's what the National Zakat Foundation exists to be. It exists to be an excuse for our community on the Day of Judgment. That when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala asks us about those who are in difficulty, in distress, in poverty, in our own communities, often invisible to us, often praying side by side to us in Ramadan, in the mosques when the mosques are full, that He will ask us, were we there for them? And this, for me anyway, inshallah, will be our answer. Because by institutionalizing zakat across the country and by having a formal mechanism to collect and distribute zakat funds, to determine who is eligible and then to provide necessary support, then this is exactly what National Zakat Foundation is all about. And since we started, alhamdulillah, we've achieved many, many things. We've collected and distributed close to £2.5 million of zakat funds. We've established 4 supported housing projects across the country with 35 bed spaces for single, homeless, vulnerable sisters, and also young brothers who have just left prison, who typically are penniless and have nowhere to go. This is just the start of a long journey, but alhamdulillah, with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's help and with the help of many of you here, and I see the faces of many of our donors and supporters amongst you, we've achieved a lot. We have achieved a lot, but there is so much more. There is so much more to achieve. We have helped in the last 3.5 years over 2,200 individuals across the country. But as I said, there are thousands more out there who require our support. But facts and figures are all very well, and just describing in my words the distress and the difficulty of individuals doesn't necessarily convey it to you. So what I wanted to do is show you a very, very short clip of 2 actual beneficiaries of the National Zakat Foundation and some of their words about how they have felt. These are not actors. Okay, these are real individuals that we have worked with over the last few weeks and months.
You know, when you're in the street and you're homeless, and I don't have, no benefit, I'm not available to public fund, and it's just the life is too difficult, I really, I've been suffering, with no food, with no shelter, with no house, and sleeping in the street, plus I'm bowling, with lung cancer. I feel lonely and sad, that's all. The people, is different. Some people, they look at you when you see me like this. They think, what's wrong with this young man? He can go and work and, and own something for himself. But some people, they understand. And some people even come and ask you why you're in the street. But most of the people, they don't care.
Even I told them that I'm this time pregnant and I don't even have money to food, and they really want me to come in this work, like that I can sleep with someone and then I'll get the money. I said I'll come to the footpath. I'm not going to give my body to anybody, because if I'll die with the hunger, I would love to die with the hunger. I'm not going to give my body to anyone else.
There is a sister here who actually feels under the stress and pressure from those around her to enter into prostitution so that she can feed herself. That's the reality of what she said. That is a shame and a stain on all of us if this situation is allowed to continue. But it doesn't have to continue. And our message is very, very simple to all of you here, and I hope that all of you will become ambassadors and flag bearers for this message, which is that zakah in our faith begins at home. The Prophet ﷺ, subsequent Khulafa Rashidun and companions administered zakah locally in the areas in which zakah was collected. And whilst we may give some of our zakah, we may give charity, and we should and must support causes around the world, we cannot forget those who are on our own doorstep. And so please, this Ramadan, remember to apportion at least some of your zakah to those around you. Let the National Zakat Foundation collect and distribute your zakah funds across the country to bring real change, real help, and make a real difference to the thousands that we expect to serve over the next year and few years, just like this brother and sister here that you've heard from today. So fulfill your 3rd pillar of the National Zakat Foundation this year. A reminder, please do visit our stall, collect your zakah guide, come to our stall in the foyer area to have any of your zakah questions answered. I'd just like to thank you all again for your attention. Jazakumullah khair. I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to accept from all of us here. Subhanallah bihamdik, subhanakallah bihamdik. Ashhadu an la ilaha illa anta astaghfiruka wa atubu ilayk. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Salam.